Oh man, Servamp's episode 7 was another one with crazy pacing. I mean, we started off in the hot springs just for a comedy moment where we had misono fall backwards and smack his head. Which, you know, it was funny, but again, back to the hot springs for the beginning of the episode when it has nothing to do with the rest of the episode. Oh, my brain. But then we went on from that. We figured out how everything connected to Mahiru and what the fallout was of him going and trying to help people and, you know, essentially doing nothing. Oh man, that was actually kind of hilarious. Lawless was a beast. Whereas Mahiru and Kuro, not so much needed, just kind of got in the way and start a fight. But at least he tries to help. I mean, Mahiru is really trying, but it's kind of half-hearted trying. I mean, the dark side of Kuro has been pointing this out to him, even though Mahiru hasn't actually been hearing it. But we've been hearing it. Dark side of Kuro has been constantly telling him that kind of thinking is naive, you're childish, because he seems to not want to fight, even though he feels like he has to fight when he needs to. So, I mean, there's got to be a point where you realize if you're thinking constantly, I might have to fight, so I better bring Kuro, you're essentially going to places to fight. So technically, he is seeking out fights. It's just, it's not him that's fighting. He's relying completely on Kuro. And that just didn't work out in this episode. Kuro got completely shut down. I don't know why. I mean, I have some theories. I assume that the dark side of Kuro actually stayed behind at the hot springs when Mahiru ran off with Kuro and tried to take him elsewhere. Because we had that slight moment where you saw a shadow underneath Kuro leading away from him. Like, long way away from him. So yeah, that's what I think. I think the dark side of Kuro did not come along for the ride. He's just been chilling back at the hot springs. He hasn't really been up to much. So all that Mahiru really had with him was a part of Kuro that doesn't actually fight anyway. I don't know. It's all confusing. This is the thing. They're not explaining anything right now. The pacing has gone to shit. There's so many fucking characters in this now. I mean, we got the introduction of another character this week who seems really cool. I mean, he's our first mature character who actually acts like a mature character, but in the overblown yaoi kind of way with the whole, oh, this old man doesn't want to do this old man doesn't want to do that, constantly drawing attention to how old and mature he is, while also looking like a sadistic badass. And sadistic he definitely is. I mean, his fight with Licht was actually really damn good. I like his strange power. I mean, he seems to be able to set his hands on fire, but not just by himself. It seems like he needs to draw blood first, and he can actually set blood on fire. I assume. I mean, more likely he can just set his hands on fire, and it was just a dramatic moment of him pretending that he couldn't do it and wanting to cut Licht before he did it. But from what it seems like he can set blood on fire. He needs to cover his hand in blood to actually light himself up. And that led us to some amazing moments. Like him saying to Licht, can I gouge you a little bit? Just because he couldn't find his lighter and he needed some blood to set on fire to light his cigarette. And both in this episode and the last one, it felt even more like Lawless than usual. Because they're speaking very poetically to each other while they fight. And doing this whole imagination is important thing. So yeah, the Lawless feels are becoming real. And I really like the new bad guy. I mean, that whole shall we dance thing, that was insane. And that whole fight that they actually had, clashing with each other, Licht summoning his piano. The bad guy using all of the goddamn fire, goddamn. And he has a really cool voice. I don't know who it is. I assume it's Fujiwara, because it sounds a bit like Kizukura from Danganronpa 3. I can't tell for sure. And if it is Fujiwara, that's got to be a problem because he's gotten sick. But either way, does anybody know whose voice that is? Because it sounds really cool, and I know I damn well recognize it really well. First thought that came into my mind was Kizukura, but I could be wrong in that. So do let me know if you know that, Seiyu. But yeah, their fight was incredible. It led us to some more realizations about the power of Servamps and the power of Eves. I mean, we had Licht talking about how it's your imagination that creates the world around you. We also had the bad guy talking about how Licht has such powerful creation skill. So it seems like the better your imagination is, the more you can imagine infecting or affecting the world around you, the stronger you can affect it with your own abilities. And so while we've got Mahiru, who's not 100% sure on himself and doesn't actually want to fight that much, he can't really affect the world he wants to. Even when he believes he has to fight, he's not wholeheartedly going into it, so his imagination isn't creating the kind of strength and the kind of effect that he needs. And Licht was trying to teach him that during this fight, which I found kind of cool, despite the fact that he was getting the shit knocked out of him and bleeding a ton. He did recognize that Mahiru in his own way was at least trying and failing to help, so he guided him a little bit, and hopefully Mahiru will figure out what he needs to do, because now that he's without Kuro, Mahiru is shit. I mean, he doesn't even have his little broom anymore. His little broom went into the ball with Kuro, and I have no idea what that's about. Because they gave us that really sharp cliffhanger. It wasn't even like it felt like it was supposed to be a cliffhanger. That was the weirdest thing. We had Mahiru, like, feeling bad about himself, feeling bad about everything, and staring into the ball, and then we had Kuro appear and basically say he's still alive, but he doesn't want to come out. And that's essentially where it ended, with Mahiru shouting at him, "How could you?" or "You're being lazy," or something like that. And it wasn't like a big dramatic moment. It didn't have a big musical flair. It just felt like they literally cut the episode there because why the hell not? It didn't feel like a proper moment to cut the episode. And then there wasn't even like a moment after the credits that went a bit more into depth and explained what was going on with Kuro. So yeah, the pacing of the show is definitely killing it for me. It feels like a lot of the choices they're making are very bad. And already from the preview of the next episode, I can see there's more new characters coming in. We have more new characters in the background and characters wearing suits and shit. Oh man, I am not too thrilled with the prospect. But, you know, we're more than halfway through this series, so I'm definitely going to finish it. It's been an enjoyable ride. There's a lot of good comical moments, even in this episode. Especially when it comes to Tsubaki, who sometimes is so dangerous and terrifying, and then other times makes a bunch of jokes. I mean, his group is so funny like that. When they were on the phone with misono, and misono was trying to convince them to make the trade, getting real serious and everything, Tsubaki was getting angry. And then suddenly from Tsubaki, we had that amazing moment of him just being like, "Oh, by the way, this guy said don't to break that strap, it's handmade." And already we had that funny ringtone and background just showing us how strange these bad guys are. How much they love each other and respect each other, and how stupid they are, despite being so deadly and dangerous. So yeah, liking the show, it's just a lot of the things from it are bad. Like, I like the show as a whole, it's just the pacing is killing it, the amount of characters they keep adding in, the fact that they throw in plot points that they don't really finish off too well. They just all come rather haphazardly, and there are things like from episode 2 that still haven't been explained yet, involving this dark side of Kuro. I mean, I get that they're supposed to be still going on now, but you gotta, like, hint towards things and come towards a logical conclusion before adding all these other bad guys and good guys and everything that's going on, all this big conflict. It's absolutely insane. So yeah, like I said, still enjoying this one, still going to finish this one, loving the comedy, enjoying the characters, and some of the fights have been really cool, but there's been a lot of letdowns in between as well. So let me know you guys' thoughts on the comment section below, what you thought of this episode and everything that happened within it. And if you enjoyed this review, wreck that like button like you mean it. Subscribe if you haven't already to see more, and I will see you guys next time.